You're sitting across the table from someone who checks every box. They're kind, they text back when they say they will, and they ask genuine questions. But as you look at them, you feel nothing, zero spark. Meanwhile, you can vividly remember the magnetic pull you felt toward your ex, the one who left you on red for days, or criticized your clothes, or constantly made you wonder where you stood. It is a frustrating paradox. You finally find the safe, healthy relationship you've spent years looking for, and your brain immediately registers it as overwhelmingly dull. If your past relationships or your childhood environment were defined by conflict, you spent your formative years on an emotional roller coaster. You learned to survive the terrifying drops, and you learned to crave the dizzying, euphoric highs. A healthy relationship doesn't operate like that. It moves like a scenic train ride. The pace is steady, the tracks are laid out clearly ahead of you, and it arrives exactly when the schedule says it will. When you step off the roller coaster and board the train, your nervous system doesn't relax right away. Instead, it grips the armrests. It braces for a violent drop that never comes. That tight, anxious feeling of waiting for the other shoe to drop is the result of entering a completely different environment that your brain doesn't know how to process yet. The human brain operates as a pattern-matching machine, drafting its first definitions of love based on the behaviors it observes in caregivers during childhood. If you grew up in an unpredictable home, your brain rewrites the labels on that blueprint. It links the concept of affection directly to anxiety, and it links safety to the temporary, conditional relief of surviving another crisis. This creates what Sigmund Freud called repetition compulsion. It is an unconscious drive to repeat traumatic experiences and a desperate, often circular attempt to finally master the original wound. This drive acts like a hidden compass. It subtly steers you away from reliable people and pulls you toward partners who recreate the specific emotional pain you suffered years ago. You aren't choosing toxic partners because you want to be hurt. Your subconscious is trying to solve an old, familiar problem using a script it already knows by heart. That psychological script has a physical footprint. Over time, riding the emotional roller coaster actively reshapes the brain's reward center. When a partner ignores you or criticizes you, your brain interprets the rejection as a survival threat. It floods your bloodstream with stress hormones like cortisol, leaving you panicked and on edge. Then they send an unexpected text or offer an apology. In that moment of sudden relief, the brain releases a massive surge of dopamine to wash away the stress. Scientists call this intermittent reinforcement, a cycle where affection is given at random, unpredictable intervals following periods of neglect. This exact mechanism drives gambling addiction. You pull the lever over and over, enduring losses, tethered to the machine, hoping for the next payout. The intense electric chemistry felt in these relationships is rarely a sign of compatibility. Usually, it is the physiological experience of withdrawal and addiction. Now, consider the partner on the scenic train ride. They communicate consistently, they do what they say they are going to do, and they don't pick fights just to generate a reaction. Because they never push you into a state of panic, they never have to rescue you from it. There is no sudden relief from anxiety, which means the brain never receives that massive, addictive dopamine spike. The nervous system is mistaking peace and stability for boredom because it is an active withdrawal from the chaos. We are taught that romantic excitement should feel like a rush of adrenaline or a flutter of butterflies in the stomach. If you have a history of trauma, those butterflies are a biological warning sign. They represent the fight or flight system activating against a familiar threat. Redefining your relationships requires questioning these physical reactions. It means learning the difference between the quiet warmth of a connection and the tight, breathless panic of a trauma response. To change who you fall for, you have to do something counterintuitive. You have to actively ignore the initial gut instinct that tries to pull you back toward the familiar roller coaster. You can retrain your brain by staying on the steady, predictable train ride long enough to prove to your nervous system it is safe. This process requires an uncomfortable period of detox. For a while, a healthy relationship is going to feel unnerving, wrong, or just plain dull. If you stick with a reliable partner through that discomfort, your nervous system will eventually stop bracing for a drop. It will recalibrate to the new environment and finally lower its defensive walls. When the relationship feels too easy or the pace feels too slow, it's a sign that the chaos has finally ended. A quiet life is the tangible evidence of a recovery in progress.